I love you.
I called it my blue ball.
Welcome back to the Couch Potatoes. We're continuing the beautiful Disney playlist, episode 36, I believe.
Wow!
Unless we snuck an extra one in there.
Okay.
I know it's been so long. We're getting near the end, folks. We're near the end of the Renaissance era. This isn't the end of the Renaissance era, but we're close.
We're real close.
Touching here with Mulan. I am the Green Traveler from Gorsh.
And I am the Faceless Leone. This is Green and Faceless on the Couch, a podcast about movies and TV, and as the Green Traveler has says, the Disney playlist. Talking about
boop, boop, boop.
A Chinese legend, Mulan. Hell yeah.
How exciting. How exciting. This is honestly, to give my brief childhood backstory with this film, I think this was one of me and my brother's favorites. We watched this one a lot. I remember the music pretty well. Honestly, it's kind of weird because I hate montages, but I remember the montage scenes so much because it was so fun to dance to them. Like
right.
Those are the best songs during the montage scenes. So it's weird. I have not grown out of this film. I will say right. if I hadn't watched this as a kid and I came to it now, probably would like it less because of the montage scenes. Because there's a bunch of them. There's like 2 or 3.
Right. But to make a man out of you, that one, like the montage tells the story so well. I think.
Yeah.
Like, that's how you do a montage.
and the nice thing is, too, that in these montages, it's not a complete change of character. It's
right.
a moderate growth to an area that makes sense for the next scene. And the relationship between Mulan and her fellow montagiers, the people with her in the
right.
montage, it's advanced a tiny bit. But the animosity is still there that was before the montage, or the respect is still there after the montage, depending on where you're at in the movie. Like it still advances, but it doesn't do enough that it's like we needed to see that. It's like that's what I have an issue with a lot of montages is I'm like, why don't you just fucking show it to me? Because a lot of times it's like they're like, well, we don't know what to do here. Let's quickly just montage so we can get some development in there, and I hate that. Yeah. This does a nice job at being like they still developed, but it's just like training, It's like you don't really
right.
need to see all the training in a war film.
Right.
Like it's a nice little just like tidbit, and we move up to the next part where they actually do grow together.
Also, in the other one that I really recall, the other big one that you might call a montage, is A Girl Worth Fighting For. And that I would almost say is more of a dream sequence because they go
right.
Yeah, they do all sorts of things, but when they're back on what they're actually doing, they're still on the same march.
That one ends so like
yes,
it's like a breakneck halt and complete sadness.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. Very sad. That's the saddest scene for sure.
Yeah, but I really do like the story of Mulan. I think, again, I've been vocal on it before. I am a non-binary, and this film deals with a woman who, her father, there's a war going on.
Right.
In the movie, we'll talk about a little bit about the true history, but in the movie, it's the Huns are invading, and the Emperor has called certain families to step up and be part of the army. And Mulan's father is called up. He has already fought in wars before. He is very old. He has a cane. He can, he's not healthy enough to fight, but he is duty bound and he wants to do it. And he steps up proudly to accept the honor. And Mulan, out of wanting to find respect from her family, be respectful of her ancestors, like wanting to do pride and honor to her family, she sets out to take her father's place, and she dresses up as a man to do so. As Fa Ping, is that his name?
Fa Ping is their name when they're in the army. Yes, right.
And it's like Mulan's not necessarily non-binary. She's still very much a woman, and she's just hiding her identity. Yeah. But like, I feel like underlying, like as a child, I feel like there was just like that sense that like the reason me and my brother probably liked it, or specifically why I liked it, was I just like that idea of like, yeah, I can do that. You know, I can go out and just like be a woman, or like, you know, not look the way that I'm supposed to look. You know, I like that idea, and I would always do that on Halloween. I would always choose like really weird fucking characters to go out as Halloween to be completely off-putting. Like I chose the one time I chose Ghostface from Scream just so I could wear high heel boots, like because it made me taller, and I was just like, yeah, like. But like it's just like that. I feel like that was one of the reasons I love this movie, was just seeing this woman be like, step out of the norm and prove that, I mean, one, women are just as strong, even if more so, because, you know, she accomplishes a lot of stuff and gives the men a lot of encouragement to go forward and accomplish their own stuff. Not that many of the side characters really do accomplish things in this film. It's like, I did like that. I like that idea.
Brotherhood. I almost said brothership, and that's not a word.
Brothership. You got the mothership, the fathership, and the brothership.
and then the itty bitty sistership.
Oh, God. But she's not alone on her journey when she goes out to fight the army. By the way, Mulan is voiced by Ming-Na Wen. Live action, I know her from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., sadly. I don't know if that's like something she's really proud of. Maybe it is. It did fine, I guess. I only watched the first few seasons of it. But she was also in recently in Star Wars, The Book of Boba Fett, and Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, she's still doing well. I just remembered her as a voice as a child. And it's kind of cool to see her becoming more of I mean, I'm sure she was already a very prominent actor like outside of animation, but that's pretty much all I remembered her for as a kid. But I guess her singing voice was Lea Salonga.
Yes.
This film is kind of plagued a lot with that, where they had a voice actor and then a singing voice, which isn't a bad thing. But I feel like this one was the more noticeable one. I didn't notice it at all as a kid, but watching it as an adult, once they started singing, I was like, it's a different voice. You know, I noticed it more now. Specifically with their captain. When she gets to the army, their captain is Li Shang, he's the son of a famous, like, general or something? What was his dad?
His dad was a general, yes.
Yeah, something like whatever that would be in there. Maybe it was the same ranking system. I'm not sure.
I started looking at Ming-Na Wen's filmography. Sorry.
Oh,
Got lost.
You're okay.
You're
okay. But yeah, he's...
Yes, General Lee, I believe.
Oh,
yes.
Nice. They probably didn't stretch far for that one, I guess.
That's James Shigeta, who plays...
Yeah, the general. And the captain is voiced by B.D. Wong, but it was very recognizable once he started singing that it wasn't B.D. Wong. The singing actor did do a good job, I will say that.
Yes.
But as an adult, it was very obvious, and I was like, well, alright, I gotta look this one up because that's not the same guy. And I was very, very shocked because it's Donny Osmond. I did not know it was Donny Osmond my entire childhood. And he's got like... He does the "I'll Make a Man Out of You." That's his song, you know. And I was blown away. I was like, I've listened to that song so many times, did not know it was Donny Osmond. So funny. Just before recording, though, the Faceless Leon and I did discover that in the Cantonese, Taiwanese, Mandarin, and mainland versions of the film, Jackie Chan provided the voice of Captain Li Shang. Which is, and the singing voice too, apparently, which is just very amusing to us.
Yes, yeah. And I just want to know, like, why didn't we get the English version? I don't know.
Yeah, not that we're upset with B.D. Wong. B.D. Wong does a great job.
B.D. Wong does do a great job. And
as does Donny Osmond.
Well,
but yeah, it would have been interesting to have Jackie
That would
Chan.
be for certain. So some other casts that I think are worth mentioning. George Takei plays the first ancestor. That's what he was billed as. But the the one that, leads the meeting of the ancestors. Just thought that was worth mentioning. He's kind of at the beginning, at the end.
To explain that, the ancestors, they're all dead, of course, but they meet as ghosts to try to determine the fate of their family. And because they know Mulan's gone off on this grand journey, and they're like, well, fuck, she's probably going to die. We need to send somebody to protect her. Right.
And in the film, they are answering both Mulan and Mr. Fa. I don't know Chinese, but Fa Zhao is the character's name. Played by Sun Tek O. I don't know how to pronounce the anglicized versions of Chinese, so I'm sorry. But anyways,
I think you did it right.
I don't remember what I was getting at with that, but he
he just the first ancestors and all the other ancestors agree that they need to send somebody to protect Mulan.
That's right.
And they have the bell ringer, Mushu, who is a disgraced dragon.
Guardian. He's a disgraced dragon guardian. He gets asked
wonderfully voiced by Eddie Murphy.
Of course. Yeah, Eddie Murphy. Yeah, it's a very funny role. I remember it very well from being a kid.
He was another one that, like, it was really funny because I think Shrek and this were, like, my first Eddie Murphy moments. But then I was gifted the tape, the 8-track tape of... of his stand-up comedy of Raw and Delirious. No. And so I would pop those into my tape player and then just listen to that like every other night because it was so raunchy and wrong and like it did not age well. No. I remember trying to show some of you guys I can't remember if it was Raw or Delirious, but we were like 10 minutes in, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, some of these jokes probably aren't that good, huh? Oh, gosh.
They still are very well said.
Oh, yeah. They're still funny in their own right, but they're a little un-PC.
Yeah, but, the times, whatever.
He made a lot of, He made a lot of family films to make up for it. He atoned.
Yeah, sure. That's what it was for, to make up for it.
That's where we knew him from.
I think, like, as soon as he had kids, he was like,
I need to clean this up.
Yeah.
I need to be the donkey in Shrek and quick, do a Haunted Mansion movie.
Oh, man, that movie was so bad. We tried to rewatch it, and we couldn't even get through a half an hour of it. Me and Sarah.
Oh man, somebody. You know what? If you want us badly to talk about Haunted Mansion with Eddie Murphy, you can go down to patreon.com. Yeah, go down to patreon.com/greenandfaceless. Sign up for our patron. You get the chance to suggest movies we watch, and we'll talk those movies every first Thursday of the month in our potato pick. So yeah. If you want us to watch that movie, that's gonna be your way to do it.
That's how you're gonna do it.
Faceless Leon just said it here. We ain't doing it unless we're forced. So,
but
they send Mushu. Sorry to bring us on track. They send Mushu to wake up the guardian that should go and protect Mulan.
Right,
and he goes to do that and destroys it on accident.
The Great Stone Dragon. That's what George Takei says.
But when you think about it, like, did he just kill that thing?
Yeah, I think he did. Like, and then when he gets back home, like, spoilers, it's a Disney movie, happy ending. When he gets back home, they're like, okay, you could be a guardian again. And they throw him a party. But he killed that dragon.
He really did. Like, Jesus Christ. That's crazy, man. No, it's ridiculous. But to atone for that, because he killed the great stone dragon, he was like, oh, I guess I got to be the one that goes and helps Mulan out. Yeah. So he goes off to do that. And the funny joke about it all, the haha, is like, he does look like a more Chinese version of a dragon, but he's tiny. He's teeny tiny, like,
yes,
barely the size of somebody's forearm, if that.
He gets mistaken as a snake several times. Maybe just once. But
I am a dragon!
So, just to, get the rest of the little party that's in the know of Mulan's identity, we have Frank Welker as Khan and Cricky.
I was hoping you would go there next. Yes, Khan is Mulan's horse. Cricky is the lucky, not so lucky cricket.
Yeah. You're not lucky? I can't believe you.
I love that cricket, man. It's so funny.
How does Frank Welker get billed as this cricket? I mean, how does he make that sound?
He's fucking talented. He's the most talented motherfucker out there. I love him. He's so good. So good.
Oh, man.
Yeah, Cricky is purchased at the beginning of the film by Mulan's grandma. And after she purchases him, she's just like, "It's a lucky cricket," and she puts a blindfold over her eyes and crosses the street. Like, survives by pure accident, but it's like you can pass it off as luck if you want to, and that's what she does. She gets across the street and she's like, "Ha ha!" and the cricket's just like terrified. Like, fucking love it, man. It was a good scene. It's so funny.
Man, Frank, thanks for being just in everything. It's
for real.
It's making our podcast.
He's such a beautiful talent.
Oh shit. Okay, so we should talk about the three companions. So we have Harvey Fierstein as Yao.
God, I love him.
Yeah, he's great.
We talked to him, Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yes, we did. But Yao is like this. He's the shortest of the three friends, but he's also the toughest. He always has a black eye, permanently. Yeah, and he's just always getting
the ugliest of them all.
Yeah, definitely. I also like. Me and Sarah were talking about them as, talking about this movie being kind of a, well, it's queer coded to the extreme. I'll say that.
Yeah.
We're saying that Yao is definitely gay because.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Because, and he has to act tough to, to put a wall up, but also I think he likes to rough around with guys.
And I feel like he was the most miffed by Mulan's identity reveal. Aside from the captain, of course. The captain is just like, what the heck?
Yeah,
but like, I feel like Yao was just like, the captain's heartbroken. I feel like Yao was just confused because I feel like Yao had a crush on Ping, and then when he finds out that Ping was a woman, he was just like, oh no. Like,
but also like the really confirming scene for me is when he climbs on top of the rock when they're all skinny dipping, and he's like, I'm the king of the mountain. And there's nothing you girls can do about it.
Oh, man. It's good stuff.
It's so good.
In the lake with them is, I can't remember the names, honestly. You're going to have to remind me of the other one.
Ling is one of them, played by Getty Watanabe. And he is really long and thin. If any of them is strictly straight, it's Ling, I will say. He's really A Girl Worth Fighting For is his song. He starts the whole song.
He's like the romantic playwright character.
Yeah. And then we have Chin Po.
I love Chin Po.
Yeah, and that was played by Jerry Tondo. He is this really big gentleman, very tall, and almost as wide as he is tall. And he just loves food. And we were saying he's probably ace. Because when especially when they're singing like A Girl Worth Fighting For, he's like, I just want her to make me food.
Yeah. Honestly, and he also has that like the powdered baby face, like kind of look that you see a lot. I mean, mildly stereotypical, I guess, in animation, but it's still it definitely fits that category there.
He's definitely the gentle giant type. Sarah told me, you know what? I don't think you ever see Chinpo hit anybody. And then he crushes 2 watermelons over some people's heads and smacks them together. And she said, okay, but they had helmets.
That's true. It's true. That's good stuff. Oh man. No, I love Chimpo too. The best scene in the movie. Like they all have their montage scene where they all become warriors-ish because they're all untrained. They're all called up to fight. They haven't fought before. And Captain Li Shang shoots an arrow up to the top of this post and tells them, they have to climb it, but they have to do so carrying these weights. And throughout this great montage, the "I'll make a man out of you" song, Mulan gets up there. She does do the job. That's the signal that they're all ready to move on. They're all ready to march.
Yes.
And doing so, they come across the devastation of the Hun invasion. They come across like all the burned villages, dead bodies. Well, they don't see the dead bodies, but all this devastation. And it leads to the avalanche scene because they decide we have to get to the Emperor quicker. We have to cut through the mountains to beat the Huns. The only problem is the Huns thought of the same thing. The Huns were already going through the mountains. Yeah. So they come across the Huns, and it leads to the great, 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 great scene where, you got these great, they're disguised as cannons. I don't know how accurate they are historically, but dragon-esque cannons they would shoot gunpowder out of, cause explosions. Well, they wouldn't shoot gunpowder out of it, you know what I mean?
Right. But it'd shoot the head of the dragon, which maybe had a payload in it as well. Who knows?
Yeah. And it was really cool. And but the problem is there's too many Huns. They're down to their last cannon, and they're going to shoot it from far away, but Mulan grabs it. She has a better idea because she's looked at the battlefield. She's thought out of everything. She strategized. And she goes forth and right up to the lead Hun, Shan Yu, played by Miguel Ferrer, who I hilariously discovered also while looking him up earlier. He's in Hot Shots Part Deuce. Did you ever see Hot Shots? I can't remember.
I know of it, and I kind of recall seeing Shots Part Deuce, but maybe not all of it.
He's also in Twin Peaks and RoboCop. I remember him most from Twin Peaks because he's the FBI agent in that. Very funny, opposite, what's his name, the main guy of Kyle, what's his fuck?
Kyle, what's
Goddamn, I gotta look at Kyle McLaughlin. Kyle McLaughlin, the main guy of Twin Peaks. They have some funny scenes together, and I just love that guy's attitude in Twin Peaks. That's why I remember him. I did not know he was Shan Yu. It makes it even funnier. But Shan Yu's like this very quiet, intimidating villain. He's very big, kind of like the size of Chen Po, but where Chen Po is gentle giant, Shan Yu is just intimidation nation. He is big, beefy,
he doesn't even have whites of his eyes. He has grays.
Yeah, it's so good.
So real quick, something I found out about Miguel is that. He narrated a something called Bald. It came out in 2014. I might have to watch this.
Yeah. Do you? Oh man, he is good as Shan Yu though. He does deliver that menace pretty well in just voice acting alone. But when Mulan rides up to him with the last cannon and then aims at him. And then changes course and points it at the mountain behind them to cause an avalanche. It's a great fucking moment because he realizes, one, he's fighting a really smart, he is not fighting the normal soldier he expects. Because he thought this person was just going to shoot him, and he's like, that's fine, my Huns will just go on.
Right.
She plans to get rid of his entire army. And it would have been a great fucking scene. She gets hurt in the process too.
Right.
But it would have been a great fucking scene if not for the third act. The third act undermines the entirety of that moment, which is kind of sad. But it's such a good moment. I love it when the avalanche happens. Right. The physics of it is a little bit weird because there's a moment where Mulan, she's riding Frank Welker as the horse. She's riding him on top of before the avalanche really. collecting the captain in the process, and then they go over the cliff, and they're trailing a rope, and Yao and Ling and Chinpo, they all grab, Yao and Ling and other soldiers all grab the rope and stop them from falling. It's a fucking horse. And what is attaching the rope to the horse? I don't understand the physics of that moment. Like, it's a great moment, but every time I watch it, I'm like, how is the horse okay? Like, I get maybe the rope because Mulan might be holding on to the rope and everything, or the rope might be, like, tied around or something. But, like, the horse?
Maybe
I feel like
she tied
it's dead.
herself to Han in that short amount of time that she jumped on.
But I still feel like the horse is dead, because it's the one that gets... If it's tied around the horse, it's the one that gets the full jerk motion of being stopped after going off a cliff.
Yeah, right in their midsection. I don't know how their saddles work. But
physics don't matter in animation. We've talked about that before. I should overlook it, I know that. But it's hilarious because then Chinpo, they're all struggling to hold on, and Chinpo just comes up, picks everybody up, and just casually brings them all back up. He didn't need any of them. He could have just stopped that all by himself. But I love that moment. But the effects of the avalanche are even further called into question, the physics, when not all of the Huns, but a small number of Huns survive. Now, again, we've talked avalanches on the show when we did James Bond. It is possible to survive an avalanche.
It is.
Your chances go down drastically after like 8 minutes, and the Huns were definitely under the snow for a while, but I can overlook that they survived.
But they are also steppe people, Greg. They are
that's fair.
Used to the bitter cold.
And I can understand, 4 or 5 of them. It's a very small number that survive.
Small number.
But it's weird to me, the third act, because when I watched it as a kid, I did not at all think about it. I was like, yep, the Huns survived. We still got a third act. As an adult, I'm looking at the entirety of the city that they're looking at, the Huns, after they come out of the avalanche and they like walk up to where they can see the city. And I'm like, what are 5 of you going to do against that whole freaking city? They're armed all of the fucking there. Like, but they do a lot of damage.
They do, because they're sneaky. They change their tactics. They're smart.
They do. That is what they do.
I mean, I think things like Spec Ops and stuff prove that a small number of people can get in there and do some major things.
You're right. Especially since they waited until like they got to the Emperor to start.
Right.
Like that definitely made it more menacing. I guess we should leave the third act because I do recommend it.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll mention one thing. Like, obviously, in storylines like this, the person's identity gets found out. And the sentence for impersonating a soldier is supposed to be death. But because Mulan, did the good thing, they decide to just leave her in the mountains alone.
The argument was that she saved the captain's life, and the captain owed her a life. Mm-hmm. So since he was supposed to take her life, it's a life for a life. They're even. He's like, I don't owe you anything anymore. You don't owe the emperor anything anymore. Go back to your family.
You anymore either.
Yeah, now that you're a girl.
Yeah.
But no, I still do like the third act. I don't like it. Does undermine that great moment that I love. Like but it's still good. It's still a good moment in and of itself.
Right.
And it does set up the third act. I give the movie 3 stars. Like I love the music. Mm-hmm. It's weird because the music on the surface, on paper, is very much like something I would not like, because it's like, I'll make a man out of you, be a man, like, that kind of a thing, like be tough, be a fighter. But then it's underneath, it's the story messaging underneath it all that makes me like it more, because she's not a man, but she's proving that, societal.
You don't have to be a man to do heroic things. Yeah. Right.
She breaks all these societal norms, and I like the underlying message.
Yeah.
And that's how it is with like all of these songs, especially like even the what was the woman song?
A Girl With Fighting For.
A Girl With Fighting For. Thank you. Yeah. Even that one, like, there's so many underlying messages. Like you said, it's queer coded. Like there's so many like underlying messages that I like, but on paper it's just like, ooh, okay. Like I don't know about this message. But I mean, when you watch it as a whole, when you take the whole thing in, it's like it's fucking good movie. I really enjoy it. Like,
yeah, it is really good. Another one of my childhood favorites. I think there are things that Disney would have done differently if they did it today than then. They're hard for me to come up with specific examples, but like
a gay character,
huh? Yeah. I mean,
they probably actually would have had one.
Yeah. Also, like, there are some jokes that are on the line, I think.
Yeah.
For today,
definitely.
So, but beyond that, you know, it's still a great movie. I love watching it every time. I will give it a face. I don't think I quite give it a face and a half, even though I do really love it. Right. I do want to mention before we close that this is based off of a real legend that started during the Chinese era known as the Northern and Southern dynasties. That's the 4th and 6th century. And that she was known as Mulan instead of Mulan. So they changed the name for this. And that's really all I want to get into, because if you want to know more about the original legend, you know, there's more to know. There's the Ballad of Mulan. There's all sorts of different stories.
It's fairly similar in scope, though.
Yes, she goes disguised as a man so that her elderly father does not have to go. Yeah. There's not all of the hey, you have to get prettied up and be a wife like there is in this. But that was a very good example of how strictly patriarchal their society was.
Right.
So I did appreciate that in the movie.
And there's a lot of, again, even with that song, there's a lot of underlying, like, nitbitty things, like tiny pieces where you realize they're not that happy with their position.
You have to, basically the song is you have to shut up and be quiet because you're a woman. Yeah.
Sadly, yeah.
And like, it works.
I don't think I've ever read the Ballad of Mulan, like specifically. I know I've seen like a summarized version of it.
Right.
But yeah, I remember thinking like, oh, this isn't far off. Like the movie pretty much did a decent job at modernizing.
Right.
This
and
legend.
they had to make it a movie. Yeah. So I'm sure that there are more written out descript versions, like there's a whole list on Wikipedia that of different sources that she's in. So it'd be really hard to nail down what the legend exactly is, and it is a folktale too. Is probably a better description than legend. But anyhow, that's been our show. We hope you've enjoyed it.
I will also say that you can check out the live action remake of this one. It's not as awful as other.
Interesting. Yeah, I do think it's interesting. A little strange, but yeah, I don't know.
It's like one of the only ones where they actually like did something mildly different.
Yeah.
And
I appreciate
it's still
it
not
for
good.
that.
I don't remember it.
I don't
remember it at all.
I know that there's a phoenix in it instead of
Mushu. Yeah, that was
and also a witch that turns into the Falcon from this movie.
Oh my god, that's right. There's so many weird things. I completely forgot this movie. But yeah, definitely someday we'll probably talk that. But also, that's another. If you do like Mulan, you want more of it, check it out, because it wasn't as bad as other Disney live action remakes. But that's been our show, I believe.
Yes.
I am the Green Traveler from Gorsh. Thanks
and
for tuning in.
I am the Faceless Leon. Thank you for listening. Safe travels and good night. Green and Faceless on the Couch is a proud production of FictionWorks 19. Are you a fan of the show? Feel free to contact us at greenandfacelessfans@gmail.com or visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/greenandfaceless. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, or rate us on Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much for listening.